welcome to another episode of Why Did I Like It? Now, I don't have the backdrop behind me because it's going to be a little different. This episode focuses on a show that I would consider possibly my second favorite show of all time. Second behind, of course, the almighty, the great news. Anyway, this, of course, I'm talking about is Brooklyn Nine-Nine, which recently wrapped its entire series run back in August or September, depending on how you want to look at it or when you watched it, to not a lot of fanfare. And this was very disheartening, mainly because the show celebrated a lot of things. For one, it was one of the most diverse casts in history with interracial relationships, Jake and Amy, dealing with adult divorce, Jake, of course, again, coming out, Rosa, being openly gay, Holt, of course, being a regular family man, Terry, and then whatever Hitchcock and Scully were supposed to be, as well as being eccentric and a foodie and all those wonderful things that Charles was. Plus, how can we forget the narcissism and the egocentric madness that was the best character ever, Gina. Well, as it came to an end, of course, the NineNine said its goodbyes in its typical way with a heist that was so convoluted you lost track if you weren't paying attention to every single word. And if you're a long-time watcher of the series, you know what I mean. But if you're not, the Brooklyn Nine-Nine gang would every single year take part in a heist based beginning around Halloween and then eventually based around, I honestly couldn't even tell you, because by the time the series was about to end, they decided to just go off the rails in the best possible way. The reason why I'm sad that Brooklyn Nine-Nine is getting more play in its final year, or in its final season, I guess, because it really is kind of sketchy with how the years worked out, is because this show deserves so much more. When you see shows like Modern Family and shows like, oh my gosh, I can't think of any other Emmy-nominated show, like Lost or The Crown or things like that, that you speak to a certain demographic or mainstream. Something like Nine-Nine was just, I just felt to the wayside many times. It was swept under the rug, kind of, but not really. It just didn't. It has a cult following, but it doesn't have the kind of cult that can propel it to be great long term. I know it will now. I feel like it's gonna be like a Schitt's Creek situation where everyone's gonna discover it after the fact, and it's gonna be bittersweet because as a fan, I'm not one that holds it close to the vest and wants it to the vest and just wants it to be about me and my fandom. I want everybody to experience it because it's a great show, and I'm sure you're gonna love it. And as somebody who identified with Jake Peralta for a litany of reasons, just watch my YouTube videos, listen to my songs to find out. It was also amazing to watch him grow. And when he decided in the end, and no spoilers of course, to make a very what you consider adult decision in regards to his life, it showed that the character had grown from the infantilized, Hollywood chasing super cop that he yearned to be into somebody who was actually a functioning member of not even the large society, just his society and his Brooklyn Nine-Nine family. So when it came to an end, I was sad to see it go, but I was also happy that I got the chance to experience the show. I'm not giving a lot of backstory about storylines or actors that played, this character or that character, because it's not about the performances per se. It's not even about longevity or the production of the show. It's not even about the creation of the show or when it was sold from Fox to NBC. No, this is about the show itself. This is about looking at the characters, the storylines, and it's about looking at what this universe was on the outside, someone like me. And it was phenomenal. And if I could suggest one show that you binge watch over and over again, it would be Brooklyn Nine-Nine. Because I guarantee you, from the first episode to the last episode, you will be laughing, you will be crying, you will be caught up in this world. They set a bunch of rules and they follow them and then they break them, and it's hilarious each time. And they connect with you, the characters, of course, on a different level. Whether it's straight-laced Holt, who is the captain, no nonsense, and takes serious and determinism to a different level, or it's Terry, who refers to himself in third person, loves yogurt, suspenders, and his body, but is a family man and very caring and treats the Brooklyn Nine-Nine like the long-suffering uncle who is always cleaning up the mess before the parents, or the real parents, Holt, of course the captain, finds out. Then there's Amy Santiago, who yearns to be a perfectionist. She is a perfectionist, but she wants to be even more perfect, if you believe it or not. And she wants the much sought after approval of her surrogate father, who is Captain Holt, of course. She falls for Jake, but we'll get to him in a second. Rosa Diaz, of course, is the badass kind of like thorough character who just is rough as nails, but genuinely cares for all of her comrades, as you can see over the course of the season when she first reveals that she's in love with Nancy Meyers movies and romantic comedies, and then eventually comes out as bisexual in a very moving and touching episode. Then you have, of course, Charles Boyle, who is a foodie and to the most eccentric degree, and a family man to a ridiculous degree, but it's because he cares a lot. He cares about food and what he puts into his body, he cares about his family, and therefore he becomes the best friend of Jake through persistence and also just because he's a good person. Of course, you have Hitchcock and Scully, who are the fools, the buffoons, but even they have this heartwarming moments between each other because they are genuine in regards to their friendship and their affection for each other. I don't think I'm missing anybody out. So that brings me to, Gina, of course, who is Jake's longtime friend, grew up together and has a very strong sense of self to the point where Gina is an undeniable force. And unfortunately, when she left the show, it was kind of bittersweet because you knew that this character was beloved, was a fan favorite, but at the same time, could not be realistically long for the world that she was in. And when she left, it was expected, and she went on to great success within the show. And that was even hilarious also because she was never going to be denied. And last but not least, Jake, who starts off being immature and wanting to be, Bruce Willis in Die Hard, wanting to be the cop who solves all the mysteries, jumping off a building with explosions behind him because he thought that's what he needed from life. And as time goes on, he realizes that being a goofball and trying to be a super cop and making everything into a thing wasn't necessarily what was going to make him happy, and that it was family and friends and sharing special time and precious moments with these people that would inevitably make him what he needed to be. Well, anyway, I don't want to bore you anymore with my thoughts about this, but why did I like Brooklyn Nine-Nine? Because it was something that this world was not ready for and will not appreciate until they take the time to sit down and look at what this show represented. It touched on Black Lives Matter. It touched on identity. It touched on adulthood. It touched on breaking barriers and what that meant to be somebody who had to watch the next generation just enjoy the fruits of your labor and the bitterness that came with it. And it touched on being an adult dealing with divorce or abandonment issues or the drive to be perfection or sibling rivalries and I keep saying and all these different issues through the lens of this very quirky comedy that I'm gonna miss. But again, I'm glad I got to see it, and I hope you do too. So why did I like Brooklyn Nine-Nine? Because it was just absurd, and it was serious, and it was lame, and it was cool, and it was hilarious, and it was sad, and it was a representation of this stupid thing we call life. So once more, as I bid you adieu to the cast of Brooklyn Nine-Nine, say it loud, say it proud, NineNine. I've been Mike, and I will see you on the flip side of humanity.
Won't you just say